Hello, thank you so much for joining. All right, so today we are going to talk about equanimity. Now, in our previous classes, we have gone over I call them our compassion series. So we spoke of compassion for self and for others, as well as loving kindness. Then we got into our forgiveness exercises, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. Because how I've spoken to in previous classes is that those two wings of mindfulness, right? The first one is to recognize what is here, what is going on. And I've said this probably a million times, but even right now, I'm speaking. And whenever I'm speaking, my heart is racing. So it's like I'm present with, okay, anxiety's here. All right, so being present with that and recognizing that it's here, and then of course allowing with this compassion, this spaciousness of love and kindness and compassion. So now let's get into equanimity. What is equanimity? This has been a good word to learn. And if I ask many of you, which I've asked, some of my students, is what is equanimity? And yeah, some know and some don't know. And, I'm going to read a little bit from my notes and then kind of talk to you in reference to just my experience with it. But, equanimity essentially is this peaceful, open-hearted place, I feel, right? It's being able to be in a state of openness, of spaciousness in the midst of conflict, chaos, suffering, joy, and happiness. Being able to remain calm, non-reactive, through the waves of experience, the waves of our human experience. Now, of course, with that being said, we want to assume that that means I'm only equanimous if I'm like very calm and non-reactive. You're going to have waves of experience. Sadness is going to come. Jealousy might come, grief, anger. But again, it's not that you aren't going to feel those feelings, emotions come, because we're human and this is a human experience. So we can't expect to be machines. But again, it's like if you get angry at something and anger's here, how are you reacting to the anger that's here? Of course, we want to be calm and collective in any situation that happens with, anybody. At the same time, if we do get swept by experience, are we going to be resistant to it? Are we going to judge it? Are we going to deny it and suppress it? How are we going to let these waves of experience come and go without clinging to something or trying to push something away? With that being said, peace isn't an absence of difficulty, right? It shouldn't be confused with withdrawal or indifference to life. So it's like if we are withdrawing from conflict, that isn't equanimity, right? Because we're taking on a fear, we're merged with a fearful aspect of ourselves. We're not being calm as the anger is here or the frustration is here. We're trying to pull away from it, right? We're creating aversion. So essentially that is basically bypassing, right? So we don't want to do that either. We want to be able to have space for all of it, to be able to be the ocean as the waves of experience come and go. I find myself through my own experience going through times where I just wanted, oh, it's okay, I'm okay, everything's fine. But essentially all I was doing was dismissing the hurt emotions that were there, right? I was suppressing them and bypassing them. So I may, say everything's okay, don't worry, you're all right, I'm okay, I love you. At the same time, suppressing those hurt feelings that could be there. I may be peaceful, I may be putting on a mask, pretending like I'm peaceful, but it's only going to hurt in the end because it's going to come up at another time when either I was activated, triggered, or, pushed. I do that because it's almost like someone's pushing your button, right? So that is not equanimity, right? Essentially learning how to have this loving spaciousness for all those experiences, like I said before. It's almost to be as still as a pool. So then when you are still as a pool or a pond, you are the mirror reflecting somebody else's energy or reactivity, for example. So if someone is sad, frustrated, upset, stressed, if you create a spacious place of non-reactivity, then you can be that mirror to reflect to them what they're actually going through, right? So but also to be, I feel firmly rooted in the ground. And when I say firmly rooted in the ground, for me, through my experience, when I am going through difficult times, grounding is what helps me stay regulated and centered, and it helps me stay in an equanimous place. So if I do feel reactivity coming up for myself, then what I like to do is to ground in that moment. And grounding in that moment could be many different things for many different people. For me, what I usually do is I will just sense into my breath, whether it's in my stomach or the sound of my breath. Sometimes I'll ground by just feeling my feet or my body touching the ground. And then also another way I can do it is, I will hold something. Like this is sage right now, but I will feel it and I will just kind of notice that it's in my hand. Or even smell. Oh, that smells so good. So pause and take that breath and ground in the moment. And just embody, come into the body and out of the head. Helps you stay ever more present with what is going on in the moment rather than getting lost in reactivity. And believe me, like I said, it is so easier said than done. I have found myself many times getting lost in reactivity. And my reactivity is normally I cry and I get very upset and I can yell. But it's a practice is what I want to say, right? So the more we can recognize that we stepped out of an equanimous, peaceful heart place, the more we can come back. It's a practice. None of this stuff happens overnight. And the more you can create a loving spaciousness place for yourself when you do step out of reactivity, the more you are going to build a solid foundation to be non-reactive, to be that pond that reflects and mirrors back to people their reactions. I hope that makes sense. One of my favorite quotes from Thich Nhat Hanh is when he says, when the crowded Vietnamese refugee boats met with storms or pirates, if everybody panicked, all would be lost, right? But even if one person on that boat remained centered and calm, it was enough, right? It showed the way for everyone to survive. And of course, we know that one person can just change the whole dynamic of a situation like that, right? So it's like, I invite you maybe even to pause this video and just think for one moment of a time where there was stress in the house or conflict. And if just that one person could remain calm, then the whole room will remain decently calm, right? Doesn't always happen. I invite you right now in this moment to just close your eyes and reflect on a moment of your life where you had a peaceful heart, where everything just felt peaceful. Maybe it was a moment you were laying on the beach, catching that perfect wave, surfing. Maybe it was a moment laying on the sofa with your children. So just bringing to mind that peaceful moment, that if you do get caught in reactivity, can you bring an image to mind to bring yourself to that peaceful state from either your breath and grounding, or bringing an image to mind that brings a sense of peace to you. Thank you so much for joining me.